Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally here. I still feel kinda weird saying that, to be honest, but the time is now. After finishing the game and taking a little time to process what I played, I'm now ready to share what I think about it. Has Final Fantasy VII Remake been everything we've wanted, or has it fallen short? Keep watching to find out. First things first, can we talk about how crazy the release of this game was? Some people got their copies like super early, and shame on you for putting spoilers in your thumbnails, by the way. It's okay, I still love you. And then there's people like me that had to wait until even after release date to receive theirs. I ended up getting the game digitally because I wasn't having that. I waited this long and there was no way that I was going to wait even longer, even though I do prefer my games physical, but I digress. To those of you that had to wait, I hope that by now you've been able to get your copies. There will be a few spoilers ahead, so if you haven't finished the game yet and you want to go in blind, you have been warned. So with all of that out of the way, let's continue. It's hard for me to describe the feeling that I had when I finally started Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, I knew that I was playing the real game, but I just couldn't believe it. The feeling was surreal. As if I was dreaming and at any moment I'd wake up and Final Fantasy VII Remake would just be a thing of my imagination. It wasn't until I got out of the first reactor in the bombing mission that it really hit me that this is the real thing. You see the destruction left by the explosion of the reactor. The city is in disarray, buildings are on fire and falling apart, people are scared and children are looking for their families. You get a clear sense of how things would be after a terrorist attack. And I say terrorist attack because from the perspective of the citizens of Midgar, that's exactly what just happened. In the old Final Fantasy VII, you beeline for the train without taking in the results of your actions, but in this, man, I actually felt bad. And really, that's what they intended. They want you to feel the weight of what just happened. Beautifully executed, in my opinion. So let's talk about the visuals and presentation. It goes without saying that this game looks gorgeous. Every location has its own feel and atmosphere. For example, the slums. I love how lively the streets are. People are doing their day-to-day tasks, kids playing in their playgrounds made of junk. This is what I was waiting for when I heard that this game was being remade, to see the slums come to life. You can literally walk by people and listen to their conversations, and each of them have something different to say. And there's a lot of them too. It's crazy to think just how much went into this game. I can say with confidence that so far this game feels more alive than any other Final Fantasy game, and actually even more alive than a lot of other games too. There's so much world building that is missable if you just beeline to the story points. Everything is set in place to fill a greater narrative, and you'd be doing yourself a disservice to skip it or rush through. Think about it like this. You wouldn't skip pages or skim through paragraphs of a book to get to the end faster, and I feel like the same should be done with this game. However, there is one thing that I think might bother some people. You come across some pretty low resolution textures from time to time during the gameplay. Honestly, I wasn't really bothered by it too much, but I could see how some people might. There's just so much to take in and grab my attention that I barely had time to focus on it for too long. But hopefully it's something that Square can fix in a patch at some point. And the music, my god. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be hard for any other game this year to have a soundtrack that beats this one. I found myself putting my controller down and just staring at the screen while listening to the music. Every time I thought, oh, I bet they won't have this track, I was quickly proven wrong with a beautiful retake on the songs that I love. You see, I'm one of those people that listen to the original Final Fantasy VII soundtrack and remixes of it on a regular basis, so those songs are very familiar to me. And I feared that I wouldn't like some of the retakes because it wouldn't sound like the original, but every time something new played, I was in awe. I love this soundtrack and I can't wait to get a hold of it so I can listen to it all the time. As for the story, if you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, then you kind of know what to expect. Of course, there are some differences here and there, some of them not so big and others, well, let's just say that I felt like my mind was a bit broken, but we'll get into that in another video, because that would require heavy spoilers. I'll just say this, I'm a little bit mixed on how I feel about some of the changes. Like the Whispers, for example, or the entire Shinra headquarters chapter. I was kind of disappointed that one of my favorite parts from the original, when the party is captured and held prisoners, was entirely changed. But besides that, I think the story was great. Getting to experience a story that I've played so many times now with some alterations had me wanting to see what was next, and it kept me interested from start to finish. In a previous video, I said that I wasn't a big fan of Sephiroth appearing earlier in the game, but I was willing to wait and see how it was handled. There's some scenes that I liked, such as his first appearance. There are some parts where I question why he was even there, the biggest being when he and Cloud clashed in front of Genova's containment tank. Like, I understand the need to include Sephiroth in the game, but I felt like sometimes it was just there just to be there. I would have liked if no one else could see Sephiroth besides Cloud through the entire game, further showing just how messed up Cloud's mind is. I could go on and on about how I think Sephiroth could have been handled, but we have what we have, and it wasn't horrible, just a bit annoying at times to me. Other than that though, the other characters were handled greatly in my opinion. From the bigger characters like Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, and Aerith, all the way down to the smaller ones like Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie. Their voices, personality, everything just fits. Like for example, Jessie. How do you take a character that was just there for story purposes and make them into one of my favorite characters in the game? You get to spend a lot of time with some of these previously minor characters and get to know them more, and I'm so glad that they decided to give these characters more time to shine. But Jessie is really the standout of the bunch in my opinion. From her witty remarks to her playful flirty nature, I think I'm in love. But enough of my obsession with Jessie, let's move on. I like the newer characters like Madam M, Chocobo Sam, and Leslie Kyle to name a few. It really adds a bit of color to the cast with such differing personalities. One character that I would have been interested to see more is Roche. I was under the impression that he was going to be around for more than he was, but he kind of just came and went almost to the point that by the end of the game I almost forgot about him. But maybe he'll be used more in later parts, so I guess we can only wait and see. And I guess the last thing to talk about is the gameplay. I had already fallen in love with the combat system with the demo, and that was with limited characters and abilities. As I played through the game, getting more materia, unlocking new weapon abilities, and utilizing a full party, I was almost in shock at how much better the combat was than what I had previously imagined. I can understand some people not liking it because it's not turn-based and it can get hectic, but that's exactly why I liked it. Now don't get me wrong, I actually prefer turn-based combat, or at least I thought I did, but I'm so glad that they decided to go with this. There were times where I was switching back and forth between characters, pulling off almost cutscene caliber combos, and then there were those times where I got completely wrecked. Hell House comes to mind. But if you set up your characters well, use your enemy's weakness to your advantage, and switch between your party members as needed, then fights can become almost like a dance, everything flowing with beautiful precision. I love it. One thing that I think should be touched up for future parts is the aerial combat. Sometimes it got really annoying trying to hit those flying enemies without a ranged character in the party. Sure, you can use magic, but you gotta be able to hit them to build up that ATB. Besides that though, I love the combat in this game and I can't wait to get more of it in the future. And with that, this is where I'm going to end the video. I just know that I missed something that I wanted to talk about, but that's okay, there's always the next video. Let me know what you think of the game so far if you've played it. And for those of you that have finished it, I know you're wanting to talk about it. That ending, right? But for now, please try to keep it light on the spoilers in the comments, just in case people that haven't finished it end up here. I'm currently working on another video, so that's when we can go crazy with spoiler talk and whatnot, so stay tuned. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you aren't already. I'll see you all in the next video, so until then, take care and be sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Bye guys!